So we're going to present an award, but first let me just say that I want to thank the ICJP and the World Jewish Congress for hosting what has really been a very productive conference. I know my fellow parliamentarians will feel the same way, and it's been great to connect to everybody. Since 2005, ICJP has brought together Jewish leaders and legislators to engage in a discussion about the best way forward on our priorities, protecting human rights, promoting the principles of democracy, fighting the scourge of anti-Semitism, racism, bigotry, intolerance, and all forms of violence. And together, we've changed the perception and treatment of Jews worldwide. Obviously, heard from Dory, there's obviously a long way to go, but we want to be part of the fight. We've remained vigilant in the face of growing threats to the peace and security of Jewish communities around the world, and we've promoted international cooperation in support of Israel. The last 10 years have also seen their share of challenges: the Israeli disengagement from Gaza in 2005, the Second Lebanon War in 2006, Operation Cast Lead from December 2008 to January 2009, Israel-Gaza clashes in March 2012, and Operation Pillar of Defense later that year, and Operation Protective Edge in the summer of 2014. We've witnessed anti-Semitism surge worldwide, manifested in horrific attacks such as the one in Paris last January, or in political parties across Europe. We've seen the rise of the pernicious BDS that seeks to undermine Israel's legitimacy, and they're obviously difficult times, and they demand leadership that fosters support for Israel on the world stage, ensures fraternity and security of Jewish communities worldwide, and cements the bond between the diaspora and the State of Israel. And so what can I say? How can I find one person to sort of sum up everything that I've said? Well, it's pretty easy, because in Irwin Cotler we found such leadership. Deputy ICJP chairman since 2013, which is one of many hats that Irwin's worn throughout his career as an international human rights lawyer and public servant. Professor Cotler has worked tirelessly to end discrimination against Jews and others and advocate for peace. As the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada, Professor Cotler, feels funny when I say professor because I know him as Irwin. Irwin fought to eradicate bigotry by introducing the first ever National Justice Initiative against racism and hate. He championed the rights of Jews throughout his time serving as the president of the Canadian Jewish Congress, co-chairing the Interparliamentary Group for Human Rights, advising the Minister of Foreign Affairs on the International Criminal Court, providing counsel for prisoners of conscience, litigating landmark cases on the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and providing expert testimony on human rights to various parliamentary bodies. But perhaps most importantly, Irwin started a global conversation about a new form of anti-Semitism, one that is sophisticated, global, virulent, and even lethal. One that is reminiscent of the atmosphere of the 1930s and without parallel or precedent since the end of the Second World War. That's a quote. In a time when violent intolerance and anti-Semitism, old and new, threaten the peace and stability of Jewish communities around the world, Professor Cotler has been a powerful thinker, an unrelenting force in combating bigotry and hatred. And let me say on a personal note, you could go around for many days and many months and many years, and you're not going to find a nicer guy, a nicer person, someone who really has the heart of the Jewish people in his heart, someone who really gives all of himself. I know him personally, and he's just a wonderful guy. So Irwin, come on up. So please join us in thanking our Deputy Chairman, our mentor and friend, Irwin Cotler, for his invaluable leadership and service, and recognizing the tremendous work he's done to preserve and protect Jewish communities worldwide. You're certainly someone, Irwin, that everyone can try to emulate, but no one can quite match you. You're really the gold of the gold, even though he's Dory Gold.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been privileged to pass this on to Irwin. Let me say to you, I've known Irwin from the black days of the Soviet Empire. We worked very closely together on the Soviet Jewry operation. And I want to say, it's all been said, but I want to say one or two additional words. 1 minute, just 1 minute. I want to say that if one looks at this generation and one seeks to find a role model for a Jewish leader, it is Erwin Cotler. And I do not believe that I'm expressing superlatives when I say that Erwin Cotler has been and is one of the most outstanding Jewish leaders of our generation. I'm sorry to see him retire in a sense, but on the other hand, I know that he's going to be extremely active, both for the government of Israel, for the Canadian community, and for the Jewish people. And Erwin, I wish you every success, and I know I'm echoing the sentiments of everyone when I say, Kol HaKavod, and Chazak ve'ematz, and keep going. And this is a small presentation of Jewish Congress.
I also would just only take a minute to express my appreciation to the World Jewish Congress, which I've always regarded as being the parliament of the Jewish people. This is going to be in 2016 the 80th anniversary of its founding. The International Council of Jewish Parliamentarians under the brilliant leadership of Elliot Engel, my good friend Dory Gold, who's really provided inspired leadership at the Foreign Ministry. Izzy, with whom I've had the pleasure to work together in common cause. There's so many friends here, but if you allow me to single out just two people, a lot of reference was made to some of the things I had a privilege to be involved in. I just want to say, I want to single out my wife, who's been in the trenches with me all these years, though not always on the same side, but really a formidable advocate in her own right. And sitting back there, for me, this is a special and moving pleasure for both my wife and myself, my son Yoni, who 2 months ago came on Aliyah. So thank you, everyone.